Good morning. As always, I'll let the crowd build up, let things warm up here a little bit on Facebook Live. It's a beautiful Saturday morning here in New York. The Cincinnati Reds hat has no impact on who I cheer for. It's just a hat. What do we add? 100 people. As always, I let it get to 1,000. We're going to have a good conversation today. Going to have a conversation based on feedback that you folks have been sending me. And where are we now? 886. Oh, 1,000. All right, here we go. Okay, so the conversation today could be a long one. Maybe I'll walk a little slower than usual. We're going to talk about the 4 reasons why you need to vote for Trump. Now, some of this is going to be music to the choir, so to say. You'll already know what it is I'm about to say, but I'll just reconfirm what it is you want to hear. For those of you who are undecided, and there are a lot of you, and I know this because, yes, I do read these comments, or my staff reads the comments, and we have been getting in, as of the last couple of days, an incredible amount of people who say, I have been undecided or on the fence. I'm watching your videos, and I have made my decision that I will vote for Trump. Not crazy about the guy. I'm not crazy about Hillary either, but I know I have to vote, and you have definitely helped me. So I wanted to go into a different topic today. I wanted to talk specifically about a veteran I had met, but I'll park that for maybe tomorrow. I'm going to talk about the 4 reasons you have to vote for Trump. And if you are a youngster and maybe you're thinking about Hillary, or you're undecided, or you're going to vote for Trump, but you're not all that comfortable with your vote, I think when I'm done here, you will feel a lot better. You'll realize the fact that what I'm giving you is nothing but the truth. And I'll prelude it by saying I'm not crazy about Donald Trump. I've always supported him before anybody else really did in the media. But probably not a guy I would hang out with. I don't know, I could be wrong. But I'm not voting based on a guy. I'm voting based on principles that pertain to this country and to the 4 topics which we're going to cover today. For those of you who don't know, a couple of years ago, 2 years ago actually, I had made a film called We Ride to DC. I'm always a little bit before my time, I guess. The film was about the corruption in the media, the bias in the media, and how it was that after traveling the country like I had, filming things and doing news pieces, that I saw the way that I saw the real things that were taking place, but then when I watched them on the news, they were completely different. And that's why I made the film. After I made the film, which also covered about the spirit of America, how we were losing the spirit, the great spirit of this country, and that it needed a tremendous spark in order to get back. After that film was made, sorry, there's a truck here, very noisy. After that film was made, I had thousands of people, thousands, tens of thousands maybe, asking me to potentially run for office. And I debated it. And for those of you who have been following me for a while, you know that Megyn Kelly had me on her show, and we revealed that I was exploring the idea, and she put out a poll, and 88% of her viewership said yes, they would. So why? And I'm not telling you this because I want it to be about me. I want to nail down that you know that I understand my stuff when it comes to this. Ultimately, I didn't do it, but I was running, or I was going to run, on a 4-point plan for America. And that's what I'm going to give you today. As far as I can tell, Trump is completely on the same page that I was with my 4-point plan. 4 points. Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, we all have 4 things in common. We all want great health. We all want to be protected. We all want more money. And we all want to enjoy our life. Okay? Those are the 4 things. I'm going to start with your health. I do not believe that we have a good healthcare system. Our healthcare system is based on treatment. So what we do as a country is we chase problems. You know, people get sick, and then we spend all this incredible amount of money on trying to get them better. But if we spent half of that amount of money on prevention, most of the people would not get sick. So many different major illnesses are preventable. So my whole thing was based on, we need a new system, get rid of Obamacare. We need a system based on prevention. Now, when I bring this up to somebody like Dr. Ben Carson or Governor Mike Huckabee, they completely agree with me. So when you look at Obamacare, if Hillary Clinton becomes the president, she will take Obamacare to the next level in terms of what's called single payer. And that basically is government controlled. For those of you who are scared that you wouldn't have health insurance unless something that was in place, that is completely untrue. First of all, there is a program, and I would like to see this better funded, and we could fund it if we stop spending money on countries. You know, I'll get a little off tangent here for a second. We spend an incredible amount of money. We give foreign aid to countries who vote against us in the UN. It absolutely makes no sense. It boggles the mind. If we were to take less money and stop sending so much aid and start aiding ourselves, we would be able to provide more things like charity care. If you walk into a hospital today, they'll ask you if you have insurance. If you say no, they give you paperwork and you can apply for charity care. So this way, if you are a poverty level, or if you are in the middle class and you're struggling and you're at that lower end and you can't afford insurance, America was designed so this way we could try to help take care of you. So it's not true that you wouldn't be able to get some sort of assistance. But what you have to understand is that Obamacare is based on stealing from the young. So this way we can pay for those who don't have insurance. So that's why you see that the premiums for young people are now being talked about going up 25 to 50, in some cases 75%. Why? Because they know that you as a youngster, and when I say youngster, I'm even talking about somebody who's in the 30s. The likelihood of you getting a major illness is very low. And so they overcharge you knowing you're never going to use the insurance. So this way they can pay for the people who don't have insurance. It's a bizarre system because not enough young people go out and buy the insurance. And this is one of the reasons why you're seeing Obamacare collapse. If Hillary puts this into place, you will see more people lose their health insurance. You will see more insurance companies literally go out of business, and the government will control everything. So think about how much you hate going to the Department of Motor Vehicles, okay? That's probably the best way I can put it to you. That will now be what it's like if you want to go to the doctor. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen next month, but that's eventually the way it's going to go. So if you care about your health, and of course you do, don't want to be sick, Donald Trump has a plan in place to where he is going to get rid of Obamacare. And then what he's going to do is he's going to open up a market to where you could go over state lines and get your insurance. Now, what does that mean? Because I know, people talk about that all the time, but we never really get into detail. Right now, you can't go over state lines to get your health insurance. So there's no competitive market. It's sort of like, I'm going to put it into the real simple means. You go to buy a car, right? But there's only one car dealership in all of the 100 miles that you're willing to go to look for a car. There's no negotiation. If they say the car is, $50,000, you can't go somewhere else and try to get it for 40. That's what the equivalent is here. So you're stuck in a place with Obamacare where you can't go out and try to get better rates. Trump will open it up to where it becomes a competitive marketplace, and there will be competition among the different healthcare providers. So this way you can, and that's what will drive prices down. You put that together with what I'm talking about, coming up with a service that is based more on prevention than it is on treatment, and we could wind up having reasonable health insurance and healthcare provided to us. And that's what this country needs. We need to take care of each other better from a health perspective. But Obamacare and Hillary Care is not going to do it. It is just not going to do it. And her program, I don't want to get too into socialism, but her program is designed to trap you in and be dependent on the government. And the longer you are dependent on the government, the more you will vote Democrat, because you will always look to protect your entitlements, especially when it comes to health, right? Because that's something that you don't want to play with. If you don't have your health, you have nothing else. So right there alone, if you can't come up with a reason why to vote for Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton, think of your own health. And maybe you're a healthy person now and you're one of those people who believe that it could never happen to you. It's not true. It's not true. I'm healthy as a horse, or at least I was. 2 years ago, I got sick, really sick. And I was told by the doctor, you don't start changing your ways, you're gonna have a heart attack. That's why I walk and talk to you. I walk every day of my life. I will never change it, because I thought I was one of those people. It couldn't happen to me. And thank goodness I reversed it. What did I do? Prevention. Now I make sure I prevent. Okay, let's get past that. You got your health. Next thing you have is your safety. I cannot punch this home to you more than just stopping my walk and looking into the camera. You have to listen to me on this. You have to. You know, on the morning of September 11th, I experienced that day firsthand. A bunch of my buddies and I, we took the train into Manhattan like we always did, and we saw the planes hit into the buildings. I went down there prior to the second plane hitting. My other buddies went back home. By the end of the day, they thought I was dead. So did my wife. Couldn't communicate. I saw my fellow Americans, black, white, Asian, Latino, young, old, men, women. I saw these people jump from 80 stories high. I want you to do me a favor. If you live in a home, I want you to go to the second floor, and I want you to look out your window, and I want you to imagine jumping out of that window. Now go up 80 stories. Think about this, okay? What makes somebody do that? What makes somebody jump from 80 stories high? Think about if jumping from the tallest building in the United States is the better alternative than being burned alive. 19 people brought this country to its knees. 19. And they didn't need all 19. It could have been 10. If WikiLeaks didn't show us anything else, and this comes from Julian Assange himself, WikiLeaks, one of the most dangerous emails there is an email in which Hillary Clinton explains to John Podesta that ISIS is funded by the government of Qatar and Saudi Arabia. And why is that important? Because the governments of Qatar and Saudi Arabia also fund the Clinton Foundation. Do you understand this? Do you understand this? It's the equivalent of knowing that the guy next door to you is a rapist. And then when he asks your daughter out on a date, you say, yeah. That's the equivalent of voting for Hillary Clinton. She knowingly takes money from governments who are funding people who believe that you are better with your head chopped off. It just makes so much. It's almost so unbelievable that you would think it was from some sci-fi movie. I mean, how can you do that? Think about that. I'm not kidding. It's like being a father and saying to a rapist, yeah, go ahead, take my daughter out. Or being a mother. Being a mother and knowing that the guy next door is a convicted child molester and saying, yeah, you could babysit my kid. That's what she's done. That's what she's done. And so if you live in wherever Iowa, or you live in, the back roads of some wherever, and you don't think 9/11 can happen to you, you're out of your effing mind. You're out of your mind. And what about if it doesn't happen to you? What about if it happens to that Latino or Asian or white or black who's your fellow American, who has a wife and kids? That day when I sat at the bottom of those towers, I cried like a baby. And let me tell you something. I'm a tough bastard. But I cried like a baby. And the reason why I cried is because I couldn't imagine what it must be like for these people to actually, let me take a break, to actually look down before they jump. And what about if they hadn't said goodbye to their wife and kids that morning, or their husband, or their loved ones? They never got a chance to say goodbye. Don't you get it? You want to be that person? This woman is never going to protect you. You know, she left 4 people in Benghazi, and I know, you know, the argument will be, well, it was 4 people. Yeah, 4 people. 1 person, 4 people, 4 million people, 40 million people, 400 million people. There's no difference. You never leave an American behind. Never. Never. Would you want to be the person trapped in that building? This is what you get with this woman. You know, it's like doing the deal with the mafia or the drug cartels. You know, they talk about it all the time. You do a deal with the drug cartel, you never get out. She's doing deals with terrorists. And she's doing deals with people who fund Islamic terrorism. She's never getting out. She's going to give them favors. I say this to you all the time. Nobody ever talks about this on the news because I just don't think they put 1 and 1 together. Or actually, I know why they don't do it. It's because, I'll give you a little tangent here as well. I always go on these tangents, but it's always worth something, right? Let me tell you how the nightly news works. You know, whether it's Fox or CNN or Dennis Michael Lynch Unfiltered. Well, I was a little different. I was a lot different. The people who worked on my team would tell you I was different. What happens is that young producers, young kids, go and they look on a few websites, they get the stories that are trending most, they write some copy, they give it to the host, and that's what the host does. He's basically, you know, he reads off a teleprompter and then he puts his own opinions in there and stuff like that. You don't think, these people aren't taking all day to do the research and stuff. I always wrote my own stuff. I never let anybody do it, and I dictated the topics. It's one of the reasons why I left. So this is why they don't talk about some of the things that I'm talking to you about here. And I lost my train of thought of what the hell it is I was just going to tell you about that was so important. But it will come back to me. Anyway, you have to understand that Hillary Clinton is beholden to these people. She is beholden to them. Oh, I talk about here it is, the refugees. Think about the refugees that we're taking over into this country. We took over 10,000 refugees last year from Obama. Hillary Clinton has vowed to make that 65,000. Why? She has never backed it up with anything of value. She's never said, well, we're going to take these people in because it helps us here or there or whatever. She just says she's going to do it. Why? Because she has taken funding in the Clinton Foundation from those countries and those people like George Soros who want that to be the case. Don't you get it? It's a pay-per-play deal. And this isn't something I'm making up. This is it's plain English on all the WikiLeaks. The FBI is involved in all this now, understanding that she is selling out your future. She's selling out your safety. And so now I move to the third point. The third point is your money. It's your money. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, we all wish we had more money. You know, we all wish we did. I walk in this rich neighborhood. I mean, these people are filthy, filthy rich. And I look, I'd love to have one of these homes. I'd love to have probably the $50 million this guy has in the bank, but I don't. And you know what? If Hillary Clinton's in office, I'll never get there. And forget about 50 million. What about those of you who don't have more than $500 saved in your account? There was a study recently that said the majority of Americans don't have as much as $500 saved. 500 bucks basically means that if you run into an issue, you're screwed. You are screwed. So let me tell you about what happens to your money if Hillary Clinton is in fact the president. Hillary Clinton has vowed to keep open borders. Okay? It's basically what it comes down to. She tries to BS during debates that, oh yeah, she wants a secure border, but it's not true. She does not want a secure border. She believes in open borders. She believes in giving people the ability to work here. Now, when you look at your taxes, when you get that paycheck and you see so much of that money stripped from your paycheck, what do you think that's paying for? What do you think that's paying for? That's paying for programs. That's paying for programs, and many of them are going to illegal aliens. You have to understand that every day, thousands of people, thousands. What do I got? I got 7,600 people watching this right now. 7,600 people, right? And somebody just sent me a text. Don't send me text, please, while I'm doing this because it's a distraction. Thanks. 7,600 people are watching this, but 7,600 people are going to come through that border today. They're going to be released, and you are going to pay for them. You're either going to pay for their school, you're going to pay for their health insurance, you're going to pay for one program or another. It's coming out of your taxes. Don't you understand that? So when you sit there and say, well, where are all my taxes going? They're going to the vote you gave for Hillary Clinton. That's where they're going. And she wants to bring in more of these people. When she talks about giving free college, there's no free college. Do you understand? There's no free college. Free college is basically you. It's you paying for somebody else. And you think it's the rich guy who's paying? It's not the rich guy who's paying. The tax code, and this is what Trump already talks about all the time, the tax code for these people, there are so many loopholes in it, and that's why you hear that so many of them don't pay taxes. They grab it from the middle class. You are never going to get ahead. I am promising you, you are never going to get ahead if Hillary Clinton is the president of the United States. More of these people are going to come in through the border, and that's what the drain is. Even look, if you're a property owner, right? You got your property taxes. Do you know the majority of your property taxes go to pay for schools? In my school district alone, I've been living where I live now for I think 7 years. I have seen the increase of illegal aliens, non-speaking. How do you know they're illegal, Dennis? Okay, well, they don't speak English. In order to be a legal citizen of this country, you need to be able to demonstrate the ability to talk and at least write some English. These people come in, they don't know anything. Okay, so it's not a racist remark, it's an intelligent remark. We've gone from about 20% non-speaking English to now over 50%. The majority of my school, our schools, is filled with people who have come in here over the last couple of years. They can't speak a lick of English. Their parents, and I'm going to get to that in the fourth pillar, they can't speak a lick of English. It costs, you ready? It costs at least 50% more to educate a kid who can't speak English than it does a kid who's an American who's going to public school. So you have to understand, in my school alone, you know, I got 2 kids in my school, in school. Theoretically, I'm paying for 4. It's really what it is. I'm paying for my 2 and probably 2 other ones. It's more than 50% in my school district. Who do you think's paying for these kids? Certainly isn't the parents who come over here, don't pay a lick. I could take you, I've taken you to this in my movies before, but I haven't done it in a while. I can literally take you to a house where you will find up to 25, no joke, 25 people. Hear the church bells? It's always a sign. I always walk around the church bells, right? Yeah, God, I hear you, baby. You voting for Trump? God's voting for Trump. Anyway, no disrespect, God. God would never vote for Hillary because he knows how evil she is. That's why he has all this FBI stuff going on. He's shaking her out. He's smoking her out. Problem is, she wound up being president before we smoke her out. Anyway, there's 25 people living in a home. No joke. Forget about the fire and health hazard that creates. 25 people living in a home, but there's only one tax bill. So who's paying that bill? You are. It gets absorbed in your taxes. Donald Trump will change this by going through the process of deporting illegal aliens and stopping the illegal immigration. Not only will it become a safer place, not only will it become the rule of law, but you should see your taxes decrease. You should see more money in your pocket. It's not an evil thing for you to want the laws of this country to work for you. In fact, the American dream, the whole American process is built on the rule of law. If you strip away the rule of law, you have, man, these bells are loud, you have no country. Everything is based on the rule of law. And so without the rule of law, that's why we're looking at a situation. I'm going to go this way. Without the rule of law, that's why we're looking at a situation where literally these people are coming in here and it's costing you money. And in costing you money, it's costing you the American dream. Now, I go to the last segment. The last segment here is about your culture. Now, some of you are going to think that this is a racy comment on my behalf, but it's not. It's not at all. Our culture is changing at a rate and a speed which, in many cases, you go places in America, it doesn't look like America anymore. And what do I mean by it doesn't look like America anymore? You know, the Hillary people will say that's a statement of, oh, I want it to look all white. What a crazy statement. What a crazy statement. For the record, my first girlfriend ever was from Colombia. One of my best friends my entire life was from Puerto Rico. Another great friend growing up, who I still see periodically, is from the Philippines. One of my first employees, and I've had 1,000 of them, was a black man. I could go down the list. One of the people who built my website is a Hindu. So it has nothing to do with the complexity. It has to do with the things of our culture which are meaningful. I'll give you a perfect example. I talked about my school district and how it is that our local schools here have gone over 50% towards people who come from, south of the border, who their parents don't speak English, and many of them don't either. Last year, during our graduation, when my daughter graduated, we stood there while we did the Pledge of Allegiance. More than half. I caught this in They Come to America 3. Those people have seen it already. More than half of the people in there did not put their hand over their heart. That's what I mean by culture. That's what I mean by we cannot afford that sort of thing. We are taking in so many people at such an unbelievable rate, both legally and illegally, that the message of this country is lost. I have seen it going through town and town again for the past 7 years, and it has just gotten worse each time. The message is getting lost. I'll give you a prime example of how the message is getting lost. Probably most of you are my age, maybe a little older. Think about when we were kids on Halloween. One of the greatest costumes anybody would ever wear. You dress up as a soldier, right? Or you want to be a Marine. They don't do that anymore. They don't do that anymore. Why is that? Why is that? Because the President of the United States, President Barack Hussein Obama, he sets the tone. Leadership is about setting the tone. It's like your home. In my home, my kids know if they screw up, I'll give them another chance. If they screw up a second time, or if they lie to me, it's bad, man. It's bad. We got rules in my house. You follow your rules. You talk disrespectful to your mother, you're gonna get the back of my hand. My house is in order. I set the tone as the leader. A lot of love in my house, an incredible amount of love in my house. And we express that. We say, I love you every night. But there are rules. And if you break those rules, you're going to feel the pain. I don't just mean physically, obviously. I don't beat my kids. But you're going to feel the pain. You're going to be punished. You're going to have something taken away from you. There is a reaction. There is a action for what you do if you do it incorrectly. That's the way I was brought up. That's the way this country is. You screw up, you pay the price. You pay your price, you come back, you're reformed. We don't have that anymore. The President of the United States, he is working more for illegal aliens, more for Black Lives Matter, more for, he just did it yesterday, letting people out of jail than he is our veterans. Do you understand that? He always talks passionately, right, with his whole Barack Obama thing about Black Lives Matter. He talks passionately about gotta give a comprehensive immigration reform, but when it comes to veterans or to our military, he's a blank slate. He says nothing. What does he do? What does he do? You know what he does? He lets veterans rot. He does. I've seen it firsthand. You could go on YouTube and look on my channel. Talk about the people I've met over the course of time. I met a woman, her name was, her first name's Sunday. She wound up contacting me through Facebook 2 years ago. I stopped in my tracks. Her husband was a Vietnam veteran. He was at the VA. They would not keep him in there. He was dying. This man was dying. They sent him home. They sent him home when he was dying. She said, how can you be sending him home? They literally kicked this man out. He went home. He should have been in hospice care. He was in complete pain. She sent me a video of the man. The tears coming down my face. I sat there all day and called all the VA systems in her area, blowing me off. But putting you to one person, to another person, to another person, they don't give a damn. It's like they're reading off a piece of paper. This man died in pain. In pain. I mean, I watched him die. You watch him yourself. Go to YouTube. You'll see him. He's in so much pain. This is a man who went and fought for us. Fought for his country. Fought for your safety. Fought for your America. And this is what we do to him? Are you kidding me? We'll worry more about taking care of pregnant women coming over the border than we will our own men and women? This is nuts. This is not our culture. Don't you understand? That's what I mean by culture. We have lost our way. We have lost our way because our leader, and this is where it's really dangerous, is showing our youngsters. Think about somebody who's 24 years old or 18 years old. For the majority of their informed life, I'll call it, has been Barack Obama. They only know one thing. To them, this is normal. This is why you see kids today, rising up for Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is a freaking racist group. They want to kill cops. They want to kill you. That's nuts. And yet nobody's caring about our veterans. Now, maybe you're too young to think that this means anything. Let me tell you what this means, okay? I want you to think about this. I've thought about this a lot over my last couple of years. When I've traveled and I've done my speeches, the worst part about it, the traveling and doing whatever, is the loneliness of being in a hotel. I mean, it sucks. You don't get to, you're living through a phone saying, goodnight to your wife and saying goodnight to your kids, and, they're together and you're by yourself in some hotel room that God knows who slept in it the night before, and it's no way to live. You do it for 3, 4 nights, 5 nights in a row, or even a business trip. You get homesick, man. You just want to go home. You just want to go home. And you know that you're just a car ride or train ride or a plane ride away. You want to cut your trip short and go home, you go home. I've done it a couple times, and there's no place like home. Talking about guys and gals, when they make a commitment to defend this country, and they got to go over to Iraq or Afghanistan or wherever they're stationed, there's no going home. There's no going home. You don't get to see your kids. You don't get to see your wife. Maybe you question, what the hell is he or she doing while I'm over here? Everything goes through your mind, I'm sure. I never served. If I could do my life again, man, boy, would I serve. But I've talked to people who served, and there's no going home. You got to stick it out. You don't think that's worth something? It's worth everything. When a country comes to a point of where it treats its veterans like shit, excuse the French, we've lost our way. Hillary Clinton, you ever see her on a stump talking passionately about troops, about veterans? There's only one guy on the stump who I've seen do that, and that's Donald Trump. That's Donald Trump. So maybe you're young and you don't understand what us older people are talking about, but one day you will. That is the fabric. You start neglecting your own children and your veterans as a country, you've lost your way. And so I'm pretty much going to wrap it up at this point, because I think I've taught you. Those are the four things that I just explained to you. If you can't get past those 4 things, understanding that collectively, all together, or individually as one, Donald Trump's not the best guy in the world, I'm sure. Not perfect. He's got his flaws. But when it comes to those 4 things that are involved in your life, he is by far the better choice than Hillary Clinton. And if you don't think so, there's nothing I can say or anybody else would say to you to change your mind, and you've got much bigger problems than who it is that you should be electing president. So, that said, I want to thank all of you for tuning in this morning. Hope I didn't rant on too long. I know I get passionate about some of this stuff, but I love my country and I love the American people, and I hate to see what's happening here. And although I'm always very positive about Donald Trump winning this election, I see the numbers right now, and they scare me. I mean, Donald Trump is squeezing. He's squeezing up, and he's making that really tight. But at the same time, not enough people are outraged about what Hillary Clinton's done. And I think one of the reasons being is because the press hasn't told you about what I just told you about with Qatar and the funding of ISIS and also the funding of the Clinton Foundation. So anyway, it's a shame. Please share this. We've had over 100,000 new likes on this page in the last 3 weeks, and I think it's because I'm just giving it to you straight. So anyhow, I'm gonna enjoy the rest of my Saturday, and people looking at me like I'm a wacko talking into my phone. So bizarre. All right. God bless you. God bless our troops. God bless America. Thank you. Share.